And hello out there, all you Stay Tuners. Welcome back to another episode of Stay Tuned Sports, episode number 30. It's the episode after Christmas, but right before New Year's Day, New Year's Eve. How was everybody's holiday? Mine wasn't too bad. Had some family time, family dinner, saw Santa Claus with the kids and the family. Got a couple gifts from the fiance. Got my Rick and Morty Pickle Rick. I was kind of excited about that. I don't know if you guys watched the show Rick and Morty. It's a very hilarious show. Definitely not for kids though. I also got I love Funko Pop dolls, and my fiance knows you can't go wrong with me, getting those. So she also got me the Funko Pop doll 11 eating waffles. 11 being the character from Stranger Things on Netflix, another great show. But we're not here to talk about movies. We're not here to talk about what I got for Christmas. We're here to talk about sports. We're going to talk a little bit about the UFC fiasco that actually happened, I think the day before Christmas Eve came out, and I'll get into that. I have a lot of feelings about that. Also, the college playoff games start this Saturday. You got Notre Dame against Clemson. You got Alabama against Oklahoma. Very eventful Saturday I have planned. Not sure about you guys, but before we get into all that, you can go over on Twitter and follow me at Jimbo ST Sports. You could also follow the show at ST Sports Podcast, and you can go over and follow our good buddy King at King of Skunk Duck. He has a couple new shirts out there. He even, I'm not sure if he put on Twitter or Facebook, but he designed a couple logos for the college football playoffs. Notre Dame, Clemson, Oklahoma, and Bama, that you could copy and paste and share onto your computer or whatever you would like. But before we get into the college football, because there's a lot going on with the two of the four teams, I should say, and I think one of them could change the outcome of the game. But before we get into that, I want to touch a little bit about this whole UFC situation that's going on. So, Christmas Eve, UFC came out and said Jon Jones tested positive again for a sliver amount of performance-enhancing drug. And UFC 232 was originally scheduled to be at T-Mobile Arena in, I believe, Nevada, so probably Vegas. So Nevada said they will not license him until they could sit down, talk with Jones, find out what happened, this and that and the other thing. And there just wasn't enough time for them to do that because UFC 232 is this Saturday. And Jon Jones is fighting Alexander Gustafsson for the UFC light heavyweight title, which Daniel Cormier had a forfeit because he's the heavyweight champion. Which, even that, I don't understand. Conor McGregor had both belts, so why can't Cormier have both belts? But anyways. So, then it came out that the California State Commission said they would give Jon Jones a license. As long as he flew out that day to take a test, and all of a sudden, he doesn't test positive. I got a problem with that. So Dana White comes out and says the whole fight card is moving from Vegas, Nevada, to California. All the fighters, trainers, probably refs, announcers, everybody has got to reschedule their plans to be ready to fight and go in California. Now, the one comment that I think both Nevada and California came out and said was the drug that Jon Jones tested positive for is the same drug he tested positive for in 2017 and was suspended over. And they're saying it's a little bit in his system is still left over from that time. That is 18 months since he tested positive for it. You're trying to tell me that a drug, any type of drug, stayed in his system for 18 months and never cycled out, and he hasn't taken any? That's my first issue. My second issue is California, when they tested him, when they came out and said, we'll give you a fighting license as long as you come out and take our test, came out and said he tested clean. So what happened between I believe it was December 7th test that Jon Jones took? What happened between then and 24th, 25th, whatever day it was that Jon Jones took the test and now test is clean? This guy, I gotta feel like Daniel Cormier here for a second. This guy consistently F's everything up. He was supposed to fight, I think it was UFC 200. I think that situation was when I think that's one of his first testing positives. That fight had to be canceled. That was a Cormier fight. Then he had the coke pop, that he got tested for. He's been tested and tested positive on multiple occasions. Why does UFC still give this guy chances? And not only chances, but he's in the main event still, every time. And Dana White said last time he will never main event again. Here we are, main eventing. Watching Twitter over this whole fiasco, that the fans, they're the ones I feel the worst for, because I've been seeing like a lot of people that were planning to fly from Florida out to Nevada. They're out like thousands and thousands of dollars. One guy basically said he's taking a free trip out to Vegas with no money because he was planning only to go to that fight. And he can't cancel, well, he could cancel his flights and all that, but he's out that money. What's UFC doing to help those fans out? How to reimburse them? Oh, you get a full refund on your ticket. Oh, thanks. How about the other $2,000 in flight expenses and hotels and renting cars and stuff like that? UFC, since the Ferreira brothers sold the company, has been spiraling out of control. You have the Conor McGregor bus incident. You have this Jon Jones incident. You have weight cutting incidences where fighters aren't fighting because they just can't cut all the weight. I see within the next 2-3 years two things happening. Before I get to that, the other thing that really pissed me off and got me going was the way these fighters found out, minus the Alexander Gustafsson, because he was on a helicopter tour of the Grand Canyon and UFC couldn't get in contact with them, which, okay, that I could understand. But all the other fighters found out through Twitter. Dana White or UFC never called them to let them know. You are a multi-million-dollar company, and you can't even call your own fighters to say, hey, here's the situation, we gotta move it. That's a lack of respect to your fighters. I mean, these guys are coming out making you guys millions of money, and you can't even just shoot them a text or give a phone call and say what's going on? Come on. And that's why I think in the next 2 to 3 years, you're going to see one of two things happen. You're going to see either A lot of these fighters jumping ship because they see how this organization is being ran and going to Bellator or one championship just like Eddie Alvarez went, and Demetrius Johnson, or you're going to finally see a fighters union. I know there's been a lot of talk past couple years about fighters union, and I forget the girl's name, but she's been pushing it a lot, and now she's kind of blackballed from UFC. You're going to see a fighters union. Now, how that would work, I don't know. But the more UFC keeps going on like this, the more ground Bellator and all those other smaller promotions are going to gain more fans. Pay-per-view buys are going to start going down. Tickets are going to start going down. You're going to just start basically getting the I just want to see people stand and punch people instead of people that actually enjoy watching the chess matches of the sport. But this really was my tipping point with UFC, and if you follow me on Twitter, UFC and Dana White trying to advertise for this Saturday, live on pay-per-view, Jon Jones, Gustafsson at wherever they're fighting now. I just keep retweeting the comments. Yeah, come Friday, maybe at Philly, might be at New York, maybe at Jersey. Find out 24 hours before the show. And I would not be surprised if that happens. But that's enough of UFC because I'm getting worked up. I'm trying to stay excited because we got some college playoff coming up, and I know they played some bowl games during this week. I saw a lot of posts about the Cheez-It Bowl, which I think it was like 2-3 weeks ago when me and King went through the bowl names. That was one of King's big favorite ones. I wish I would have watched that one because I guess it was pretty much just a disgusting performance by both teams. Before I came on to record about the show, I just read an article about it. Between the 9 interceptions between both teams, the TCU coach changing out his kickers multiple times, and this is TCU who's a top 10, 15 ranked team every year, who's a good teams, not no Citadel or Stephen F. Austin colleges, and they put that type of performance out, man. But and then you had the Boise State, I think Boston College game being canceled due to lightning, which I don't understand that because I think Boise State was up 7-0, but they declared it a no contest. Well, I mean, I could see if it was no contest and it was 0-0, but if they were up 7-0, I mean, obviously both teams had to have at least one possession to score, and Boise State obviously did score, so I really think they should have got the win. But moving on to the two big games, the two games that really matter the most in college football right now: Alabama versus Oklahoma, and Notre Dame versus Clemson. So I think it came out on the same day. About 3 Clemson players were being suspended for testing positive for performance-enhancing drugs, as well as Nick Saban suspending some of his players as well. First, I'm going to talk about the Alabama players. So this came out this past week. I got an article up here from ESPN. It says Alabama coach Nick Saban says 3 players suspended this week will not play the rest of the season, and their status beyond is uncertain. Starting left guard Deontay Brown, tight end Kedrick James, and offensive lineman Elliott Baker did not make the trip to Miami for Saturday's game against Oklahoma. Saban said the players committed NCAA violations by making poor decisions, but he didn't say exactly what they did. They probably, took some gifts or money or something like that from boosters. But out of those 3 players, the one that's going to hurt Bama the most is starting left guard. Brown is a sophomore. He started 5 games, 5 of the past 6 games, including the championship game 2 weeks ago. Now, let's face it, it's Alabama. It's probably gonna hurt a little bit, but it's Alabama. They're gonna put up points. They got Tua back there, I believe. Might hurt my chances of getting my bottle of Jameson from King with our little side bet there that I think Bama's gonna blow out Oklahoma. But I still think Bama's gonna beat them. It might not be by 15, but I still think they are. As far as James and Baker, James has appeared in 5 games but had no receptions, and Baker has not appeared in a game this season at all. So it's not like those two guys are going to be affect the team as a loss or anything, but it's curious to see. Left guard is mostly your running plays up the gut. You want your power guys up there, so curious to see how the backup left guard will do. I'm still gonna go with Bama. They're kind of like the Patriots. You gotta keep picking them until they start really, falling off. Kind of like this year, Patriots are starting to fall off a little bit, but not enough that you want to pick against them yet. So, with the other team, Clemson had 3 players as well, as of right now, being suspended because every player, every fighter, organization or sport, whenever they test for steroids or whatnot, they always take 2 samples. They got a sample A and a sample B. And with this Clemson situation, as far as they go, their big player is Lawrence, their defensive tackle, that has been, as of right now, ruled ineligible to not play in the Saturday's game, as well as backup offensive lineman Zach Giala and freshman tight end Brandon Galloway. They're still waiting on sample B to come back, which 99% of the time comes back whatever sample A says. Now, I think if this stands true, because I'm recording right now Thursday afternoon, they said it could come, the sample B result could come out later Thursday night. If it comes back that it's still positive, this, I think, is a bigger blow for Clemson than Alabama's left guard being a blow. Reasoning being, first off, this kid is a massive kid. I read somewhere he's like 350 pounds. So, I mean, he's basically a run stopper. And Notre Dame's thing is, if they could get their running game going, it opens up a lot for the passing offense. With Tony Jones Jr., our other 2 running backs, if we could start running up the middle and keep Clemson's offense off the field, that's another good thing with Notre Dame's rushing attack. Chew up some of that clock, wear that defense down for later in the game. It's going to help Notre Dame. And this, so again, I got another article from ESPN just to show you how valuable this kid is for Clemson. Actually, I have 2 of them up. Lawrence, so this is, again, like I said, it's from ESPN. Lawrence is a 340-pound mainstay in the middle of Clemson's defensive line, widely considered to be one of the nation's most talented groups. He was first-team All-ACC and is the number 23 prospect on Mel Kiper's big board. Now, I know Mel Kiper's not the greatest one out there to pick players when it comes to draft day, but if you're ranked 23rd best prospect in college football, that's including all positions. If you lose someone like that in a big game like this, that is a big, big loss. And, like I said, if Notre Dame, because Notre Dame's thing is, if they could keep it close, they could pull this out. Even, I thought even before this story broke, I thought Notre Dame could pull this out. If the Clemson Tigers get, out to a big lead early, I think, Notre Dame just doesn't have the power or tools to come back and make a comeback. But if they keep it close going to halftime, I think it would be our game. Now, to make it even better for Notre Dame, if we blow them out in the first half, especially running the ball, wearing that defense down, we come out in the second half, just keep the same game plan, eventually they're just going to be tired and not going to be able to stop us, and then we could go point for point. And then have a rematch of 2012, Alabama versus Notre Dame. Hopefully not the same outcome. The other interesting story that came out this past week with Notre Dame too was there's a report that Wimbush is looking to transfer after this year. Now, I believe Ian Book is done after this year. I think he's a senior. He's going to graduate. Whether he goes to the NFL or not, I don't think he will. I don't think he's an NFL quarterback. He strikes me as like a Tommy Rees. Tommy Rees was a Notre Dame quarterback. Never made it to the NFL. Now he's Notre Dame's quarterbacks coach. And look what he's doing with both of them. If Wimbush were to come back, we would have Wimbush and our freshmen from this year probably competing for a starting job. If I was Wimbush and you had NFL aspirations, which I don't think he would make it anyways, I probably would transfer, get a new setting, start over, because if you come back and you falter a little bit, you're gonna face that possible consequence of being replaced with Ben, sophomore. But it's gonna be a good weekend, I believe. I'm supposed to go over to my buddy's house to watch the game, who's a Notre Dame fan. It's not King. King lives in Jersey right now. My boys will probably be watching the game for a little bit before they go see the Harlem Globetrotters. They're as nuts as I am. I just hope that we pull it out. I'm going into the game with the expectations of, listen, this was a great season. Everything that comes from here on out is just icing on the cake. If we go and win the championship, I won't lie, I'll probably cry like I did with the Eagles winning the championship, but because I have yet to see Notre Dame win a championship. They won, before I was born, and probably when I was even too little to know what football was. Other than that, a little NFL talk. This past week, you had my Philadelphia Eagles pull out the win against the Houston Texans, which good old Saint Nick Foles does it again. And what a, not to sound like a Chris Collinsworth, but talk about like a good story. Was going to retire 4 or 5 years ago because he's depressed, wasn't feeling the football aspect of it anymore. Andy Reid calls him up, says, hey, come on, just give me one more year, just be a backup. He was back up to Alex Smith. I think he got in for a game or two. Doug Peterson gets hired as the Eagles coach. The same year, Nick Foles is a free agent. Brings Nick Foles in to back up Carson Wentz. Obviously, Carson Wentz gets hurt last year with the ACL tear and goes on to win the Super Bowl and the Super Bowl MVP. Now, Philly needs help to get into the playoffs. Obviously, I'm going to be a Bears fan this weekend. You got, and all the games, the main games got flexed to 4:30. You got the Eagles against the Redskins, which, Jesus Christ, talk about dumpster fire. They'll keep Reuben Foster and the other guy who was in an assault incident on the team. But God forbid you come out and speak the truth about your defense coordinator, and you get fired, you get released. And there's more firings coming on the business side, but not the football side. So I don't understand. You got the Bears against Minnesota, which as of right now, the Bears are going to be playing all their starters. If the Bears win and the Eagles win, Eagles are in, Minnesota's out. You also have Seattle playing, which I forget that scenario, but somehow if Seattle loses and we win, we're in there somehow. I forget, but the easiest playoff scenario I can just keep looking at is the whole Minnesota loss, Philly win, we're in. And hopefully it plays out. We get to see if this Nick Foles luck keeps going. I mean, he's just balling. Congratulations to Zach Ertz for breaking the single season reception record for a tight end. He's going to destroy that record. I mean, he beat it this past week. I think he has 111 or 112 on the season now. Jason Witten's old record was 110. Nick Foles had a career game. He also, and this was an interesting stat he broke too. He had 400 plus yards, which was his fourth 400 plus yard game with the Eagles. And he beat Sonny Jurgensen, who played back in the 1950s, late 50s, early 60s. I mean, to beat a 60-year-old record, that's pretty impressive. So let's hope that, for my sake, the Eagles win, the Notre Dame wins. Got the Flyers playing tonight. Carter Hart's not starting, which I'm a little disappointed. I was hoping he'd start against Tampa Bay, see what he could do against a good team, but I kind of understand why you might want to ease him into these type of teams. So I got that tonight. And then we got New Year's on Tuesday. So I think that's going to be it for me this week. You can head over to Twitter to follow us on the show and follow me. Follow me at Jimbo, ST Sports. You can follow the show at ST Sports Podcast. And like I said, you can head over to King's Twitter and follow him at King of Skunk Duck. He's got some shirts up there on Teespring and stuff like that. But that's going to be it for this week. From my family to yours, have a nice New Year's. Please be safe. If you drink, don't drive. Uber it. Stay at a friend's house. Be smart. This is your good friend Jimbo, signing out.